guys, how you doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. This is our Forex update. We've got a juicy looking trade idea here on cable. I think I mentioned it yesterday, but yeah, so straight over to the charts. So yeah, here we have the weekly on cable, and as you can see, we're pretty much in the middle of the zone here, middle of the recent range. I mean, we basically came down here and retested the midpoint, which is a pretty standard thing to do once you basically have a big move. You will often, once that move is played out, wherever that may be, you will often come back and test the midpoint. So yeah, as you can see, we've got this weekly horizontal support here, well, around this zone, so definitely a little bit lower than where we are, I'd say, right now. But yeah, bear that in mind whilst we go over to the daily. So on the daily, again, you can see the same similar support here. What looks to be a sort of head and shoulders, if we look at this head and shoulders, which we're actually breaking down from. But we've got this daily 9 here. So whilst this isn't actionable at the moment, this daily, we've got a daily and a 12-hour 9 here, daily and 12-hour 9, and I do like the daily 9s, and I do like lining them up with 4-hour 9s, which is what I spoke about yesterday. But we actually lost our 4-hour count with this bit of a rally up. So yeah, so I'm looking for another entry, not another entry because I didn't enter then, but I was my micro level entry level was going to be based on the 4-hour 9, which didn't come. So I'm going to be looking for another 9 to enter this trade on. Often when you get the 9s, that candle can be a pretty extreme, pretty big moving candle, so that could potentially take us down to that exact weekly support level that we're talking about. So that is an interesting. So yeah, so I will be basically looking at some sort of buy trade in here. Even though fundamentally I'm bearish of it. And yeah, anything else? Yeah, basically fundamentally I'm bearish of it. That's not gonna obviously stop short-term trades, shorter time frame movements than, do you know what I mean, the larger forever time frames. So yeah, so I think basically what I am maybe looking for is let's get the line on, is any sort of break above this level. If I can correspond it to a 4-hour, or maybe, I mean, I wouldn't really want to look for an hourly 9, but I am cognizant of the fact we're going to struggle to get a 4-hour 9 now for a while, but we could do, but I would maybe be looking for an entry based on an hourly 9, if it wants to load up. So yeah, we're starting this countdown now, so yeah, maybe in 9 hours, maybe a few more if we get some price flips. But yeah, failing that on the daily, basically a break back above this region. I mean, to be even more certain, you could move it up a bit, but if we sell off and we come back up and then we break above this region, above this 9 candle, above this candle here, then I would be comfortable taking an entry, obviously with a stop, an appropriate stop based on what price action happens with this candle. So yeah, something I'm looking at there in cable. So let's lock those drawing tools before we start messing everything up again. Yeah, so yeah, looking for that. These are the sort of trades that I look for. I don't trade Forex very often, but when I do, it's mainly larger time frame moves I'm looking at, and that's how I play it. I don't really, almost all the time, I won't be in a Forex trade. It will just be when I see these sort of opportunities. Euro US dollar. Let's look at my favorite short. Yeah, again, like I said, the bottom of this pennant, maybe we'll break down, but I actually am inclined to think we won't. I'm inclined to think we'll test the top again, and that is based on potential, this potentially having a bit of a rally up here this having a bit of a sell-off, in the Dixie, in the dollar index. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I mean, you can see we are looking pretty strong, but we are looking at getting a crossover here, potentially, of the 21 and the 50, and we'll maybe then come back to at least test into this, maybe even test as low as the 200, which we have been doing quite a bit recently, or to that zone anyway. Here getting back towards it, then here as well. And then here as well before we broke above it, and then yeah, so we do seem to be playing along this 200 line, so this is what is making me think maybe we're going to get a bit of a pullback into it. So, and that weakness will obviously translate through to these both moving upwards, because obviously the dollar is the other pair to it. Let's have a look at some other time frames for the dollar basket, dollar index. Yeah, pushing on these highs here. It looks like it does look a bit like an ascending wedge here, which, or I mean, depending how you look at it, depending where you take the trend lines from, you could be drawing a sort of ascending triangle though as such, which could actually break to the upside. I do think breaks to the up. This is obviously a lot. This is on a 4 hour, but I think if we look at overall, this 103 level is where it's going to basically be curtains for EM, basically for emerging markets, with the dollar strengthening over there. That'll literally, I mean, it's funny to talk about people talk about the dollar basically collapsing and things, but the actual near and present danger for the dollar is actually a break up in price. And that's going to absolutely, well, it's just going to cause problems for everybody involved, for America, for emerging markets, for the rest of the world, basically. And it will obviously help to increase the deflationary problem we've got going on at the moment as well. So that's just something for you guys to consider. I mean, we're not looking at an inflationary crisis at the moment and a dollar collapse. We're looking for a deflationary crisis, and the dollar to skyrocket. That is the immediate danger. Turkish lira, that's on a 4 hour. We did have some daily nines here, which look like we are reacting extremely nicely on. So we had the daily 9, we took out the bottom of the candle, and then yeah, pretty much you're off to the races below. So yeah, I'll be definitely looking at this 50 period moving average. I'm guessing the 200's a million miles away at the moment, but yeah, I would be definitely looking at this 50 period to at least be tested and then resume the upward trend. But again, this ties into a bit of temporary dollar weakness, as obviously you know how this works. US dollar, Turkish lira. So if the dollar weakness goes down, then this comes down. Yeah, so there we go. So yeah, great trade there. I mean, you could have taken it after on the 9. I mean, we did spike up a bit more. You could have taken the next candle. You could have the more conservative trader would take it either at the break of this candle or the break of this candle. They're basically the same levels actually. So I mean, whichever one you were looking at is basically about the same levels. You could take it as a break of the actual 9 candle, the break of this 1 candle, or the break of this indecision doji candle here, spinning top candle here, and then there's your sell trade. So there you go. That was a great trade. Let's look at the peso. Yeah, daily we had the 9. We do look to be consolidating around this high. This 21 will look to cross over the 50. So could maybe put some downward pressure on price action if it does. Yeah, but all in all though, this just looks like a tightening range, which would then have to you just have to assume is a bear flag, a bull flag for this formation. And I mean, I don't know how high it can potentially go compared to the dollar, but yeah, and then a move obviously up to what would appear to be around the 30 pesos to the dollar level. So yeah, so let's have a look at some other indexes that we've got. Yeah, sorry about that. The postman's here, and my massive Doberman's not too happy about it. Anyway, yeah. So New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Have a look on some of these longer time frame. Longer time frame chart. Yeah, I mean pretty bearish looking here. We broke down, we tested, well, not quite in the mid range, but we tested the 21 weekly moving average here. Rejected from that, so yeah, you'd expect continuation to the downside here. daily, yeah, daily look like this daily looks like we're forming a sort of broadening wedge here. So we could potentially be having a move back up, and then see if we can see anything interesting on the 4 hour, for our TD sequential wise. No, not much really. I mean, if we got a 9 count, if this, sorry, on a 3 hour, I don't know what I was on that one for. Yeah, I mean, we are at a level where we would potentially be expecting some sort of horizontal support. So, and it's not obviously a proper head and shoulders, but we are testing this level a couple of times. So if we don't break from this level, so I would say basically over here, over this level here will be a potential buy trade if we break above there. So I won't draw that on. But yeah, one last pair we'll look at. Dollar Swiss franc. Don't believe I've looked at this one recently. Yeah, these are quite a correlated pair in all fairness. So, you can see there's pretty much variation around the mean and the mean, not the meme, and with the 200 weekly pretty much governing that mean and it being relatively horizontal or with a slight upward bias. Yeah, some good sell nines basically around the 200, a few of those. So I mean, we are tightening up. We basically sold off from it a few times, and yeah, I mean, we'll leave a sell off from it again. We'll struggle to get a daily 9 here with the tightening of the range, but I mean, a break above the 200, a break above this level, a break above here, and I mean, yeah, I think we could get a good move up. And then similarly a break below, I'd maybe say around this level here. We'll be looking for a move down. That's pretty much what we'll be looking at in here. I'll draw these on. So we're looking at maybe potentially a break below there, or a break. We'll be a bit more conservative on this one. A break above here. That's sort of the channel that we're looking at. We'll put some arrows on as well, just so we can. So we know exactly what we were thinking when we look back at it. Obviously we will know exactly what we're thinking about. But yeah, there we go. So yeah, but obviously if you look at the weekly time frame, you can see we do trade roughly within a range, but there's still plenty of movement here. So that's all. I mean, this is pretty much a no trade zone at the moment. I mean, if we actually get here and start to come back, I mean, that would potentially be a buy. And if we get to the top and then move back down, I mean, you could just assume we're going to stay in this range. So yeah, that brings us to the end of today's Forex analysis. So yeah, this is the one, guys. This is the one I'm eyeing up daily. This is what I am eyeing up at the moment. You've got to remember to lock these drawing tools, because then I end up going on another chart, not realising they were unlocked, and then moving lines all over the place. But yeah, this is what I'm looking at for a move up to potentially test the 200 again. I mean, seems pretty simple enough. Yeah, we got probably a nice horizontal line going in here, just above the 200. So yeah, we maybe faked out below this line, get trap some sellers, trap some weak hands that aren't holding on to potentially their longs, and then yeah, then a move back up to the upside to squeeze out the people that sold under here. That's what I'll be looking at in this. So right, that's our Forex update today, guys. Thanks for listening to that, and yeah, I will in fact, remember the disclaimer. It's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I will speak to you guys later.